welcome to another edition of the Aces Loaded podcast. Great to have you with us. Happy Memorial Day week. My name is Zack Bayrouty. Glad to be with you. As always, we have a great podcast lined up today. My co-host is none other than Alex Margulies from Nevada Sportsnet, sports anchor and reporter, among other things. We're going to talk with Jeff and Alysa Bajenaru. Jeff, of course, is the pitching coach for the Aces. His wife, Alysa, very involved in the baseball community, COO of Our Baseball Life, provides great support to baseball families. Fascinating stories. We'll talk with Jeff and Alysa coming up. But first, my man, Alex Margulies. How you doing, my friend?
It's good. Good to see you, man. I'm glad to see I'm not the only one that is kind of pushing the grooming here in quarantine. My hair is getting a little crazy back there. I like the beard though, man. You got some good growth. Is that the longest the hair? I mean, I don't think I've ever seen your hair that long.
The longest it's ever been. Beard and hair, the longest it's ever been.
It's a good look.
I'm trying to lean into as much as I can right now. Like I want to have an honest interaction with the coronavirus and what it's doing to our lives. So this is it. And I'm just embracing it.
Just an accurate representation of just looking inside of you. It kind of looks the same way.
Yeah. Like I'm bringing it all to the surface, you know? How are you doing, man? Like, are you doing well over there? I wish we were hanging in Reno. You being in Reno is going to be a real treat for me. And I'll, tell you how we go back a long ways, but are you doing well up there?
I'm doing good, man. Yeah, it's crazy to think. I was so excited to hear that you were going to be coming up and being the Aces announcer, and that we were going to get to spend some time together this summer. And obviously, maybe that was kind of what kicked coronavirus into gear. It was like, all right, we can't have these two living in the same city. That's not a good idea. We're going to shut down the entire world to make sure that doesn't happen. But no, it's been good, man. I obviously love living in Northern Nevada. It's an amazing place, and I feel very fortunate to be here right now during this whole deal because there is so much access to great stuff outside. I mean, going on hikes and going up to Tahoe and going to the Truckee River and exploring, other places in the area. So for me, I can't really complain compared to a lot of other people. We're still doing our show on Nevada Sportsnet on NSN Daily from home, just like this on Zoom. So, it could be better, it could be worse. Definitely missing baseball. It's weird not to be at the ballpark this time of year. And I know for you especially, doing every single game and then doing no games, at least for me, I went from doing full season baseball to, a handful of games each year as a fill-in and doing the TV games on NSN. But, there's definitely a void right now not having that chance to be out of the ballpark.
Yeah, I definitely, as we get deeper into this, I want to catch up on how this has changed the complexion of what you do and what NSN is doing and how you're adjusting. But I want to say, man, I'm so happy for you. Like, to pull back the curtain a little bit, you and I go back a long ways. You were the voice of the Modesto Nuts and me, with the Stockton Ports for 14 years, and we overlapped for a few of those years. We got to be close and good friends, and you had always kind of tried to project what's next in your life after you left Modesto, and it could not have landed in a better spot. You're from Tahoe, and you're working in Reno, Tahoe now, and doing what you love and working in sports and doing a fantastic job. So I'm just always so happy that you're doing what you're doing up there, man. It brings a smile to my face every time I see a piece that you're involved in.
Yeah, likewise, man. It's you're right. It's been a real treat to be back here. We had a great couple of years in the California League. I was play-by-play announcer there, as you mentioned, for the Nuts. They were a Rockies affiliate then. I believe they're a Mariners affiliate now. And, Zach and I got along great. We were close in proximity, Stockton and Modesto, so we'd see each other all the time and have some great meetups and stuff like that. So, when the opportunity, with Ryan Radke leaving and just such an incredible presence here in Reno and an amazing broadcaster, I was excited that they chose you to take in his footsteps. I was a great deserved deal after spending so much time in the California League. I know how excited you are to be here in Reno as well. And like I said, I can't wait for both of us to be here at the same time, and hopefully not too long here, maybe in a couple months.
Amen, man. And of course, I was honored to follow in Ryan's footsteps, and I'm hoping to have him on here maybe next week. We're gonna get him on the pod for sure.
Awesome.
By the way, I gotta thank you. You got me into Game of Thrones. You were the one in 2013 that forced me to watch Game of Thrones, and little did you know at the time what it was going to do to my life. Like, it became an obsession for my wife and I the next few years. So
that's crazy. I didn't even remember that because we were on a Zoom chat like a week ago, and Dan Bespris, who was another former California League broadcaster, brought that up, and he's like, I have to thank you for introducing me to Game of Thrones. And I was like, crap. I was like, That is when Game of Thrones started, because
Yeah.
that was the great thing about when you're a broadcaster on the road. In the California League, you're on bus rides for a minimum of like an hour, but they can be 7-8 hours, and so you've got to be prepared with your laptop loaded up with some TV shows. And thinking back, all the great shows I was able to watch during that time. I remember Game of Thrones is one of those ones I started on the bus and was like, oh, this is pretty good. And as I got hooked, yeah, I had no idea that I introduced that to you. I feel like that makes me feel very good about myself. There's really nothing I could do to top that. So that's an amazing accomplishment for me.
Yeah, good on you. And you actually got me into it. It was the start of season 3, so I had to catch up with the first 2 seasons. And I remember having nights at like my old apartment, probably before Ports Nuts games the next day, where I could not bring myself to stop watching till like 4 a.m. I'm like, okay, just one more. All right, just one more. And it was wild, man. I have you.
Are you as upset as other people about how it ended? I'm not like
No.
I don't think it was great. I don't think it was as good as it could have been. But I also understand like how difficult it is to wrap a season like that up. But there's a lot of like people are like angry about it. Like people talk about Game of Thrones now and they're angry about how it ended. I don't know. I don't get like where the anger comes from. Could it have done better? Yes. Were there some shortfalls? Yes. But I mean, they did a great job, I thought, ending it. It could have been better, but I don't think like the hatred some people have towards it kind of like strange to me.
Yeah, I think the venom is because the series actually had to end.
Right.
There was going to be no good way to end that epic. It was just not
No.
going to be. There was going to be no way that made everybody happy. So I thought they tied up, the loose ends. I didn't think there were any loose ends really. Look at how The Sopranos ended, and people were irate over that. The cut to black, and So what do you want? Nobody's happy when a series like that ends, and I just think, what are you gonna do? I was fine with it. I'm glad you were fine with it.
Good.
So transport me to Reno right now. What's it like up there? Like I was talking to John Ramey. This is right after the Aces hired me, and he's like, "Man, I can't wait for you to get up there and experience Summer Reno, because Summer Reno is fun Reno." That was like his quote to me. Is it getting back to being fun Reno and Summer Reno?
I think it is. Yeah, it really is. I mean, the last couple of weeks, like I said, it's been the weather's been beautiful. It's a little warmer this week, like 95 degrees, but that's nothing compared to your 110, I think, that you're dealing with right now in the Central Valley. So, I mean, it's been great. I mean, the weather's been nice. They have slowly started easing back into kind of normal life. Restaurants are back open, golf courses are open, which is great. I was up in Tahoe this weekend, and it felt kind of normal again, which was neat. There was that kind of semblance of getting back into daily life here. And like I said, I mean, the outdoors here, it's been phenomenal. Getting up and for me, while not having baseball has definitely been a big void. And I also do the TV games for the soccer team, Reno 1868. So pretty much every single weekend throughout the summer, I'm at the ballpark, whether it's for soccer or it's for the Aces. So the silver lining for me in all of this is that, despite the fact that I don't have these games to call on the weekends, that does give me the opportunity to enjoy the outdoors more. I've been out camping, I've got some other trips kind of planned to go camping in other places and exploring all the really neat things. And that's one thing you'll discover when you get here, Zach, is, I've lived here for over 20 years of my life, from when I grew up in Tahoe, and then I moved away to Florida, but then moving back here 7 years ago. There's still places in this area that I've never been. There's still lakes that I don't know about. There's still waterfalls and all these different things. And every year you kind of discover more and more stuff. So for me, I'm excited that I'll have the time to go out and explore and just, take in this beautiful area. To me, I don't think it gets a whole lot better than living here, to be honest with you.
Well, save some of those lakes for me. Like I want to explore.
I got you, man.
When I finally get up there, and we can go like first time together to a lake and explore it. Because that's the stuff that I really like. When I was up there, this was a couple weeks before Corona, which now seems like a lifetime ago. But Megan and I went and we hiked along the Truckee River.
Nice.
And it was so awesome. Like we took dogs, and it was a treat. Like it was something I'd never done. So I hope to be able to do more of that stuff.
Yeah, no doubt, man. I'm your guy. I'm your guy.
I guess the next logical question I would have for you is I'm going to ask you to put your reporter hat on now and
All
your
right.
media hat. Is there a viable option for getting sports back in Northern Nevada? And what does that look like to you as someone who covers the scene?
It's hard because I think sports can return, but I think sports with fans as we know it, I think we're still a really long ways off from that. Now, can we figure out a way to have sports and maybe spread some people out? I think that could be a viability. Of course, with the Reno Aces, the difference, there's an affiliation with the Arizona Diamondbacks, and so ultimately, the Arizona Diamondbacks in Major League Baseball are going to make decisions on their players and what they're going to do with it. And it really isn't necessarily up to the individual ballparks or places to put on games, even if they want to. It's not as if the Reno Aces, uh, the Reno Aces players are not the Aces employees in a sense to come
Mhm.
play. Those are employees of the Arizona Diamondbacks, as many of you know, but maybe some of you don't know that. So, Major League Baseball is going to dictate what's going to happen here with the Aces. Hopefully, we'll have some semblance of a minor league season, maybe even if it's just for a couple weeks, just to get an opportunity and for a small amount of fans to come in. But it obviously doesn't look great. I'm trying to be as optimistic as possible. I think maybe on the soccer side with Reno 1868 that there is maybe more of a possibility of getting back out there with a limited amount of fans because of the fact that the relationship with the USL and Major League Soccer is a little bit different. There are quite a few teams that are not affiliated. Reno is affiliated with the San Jose Earthquakes, but only a very small percentage of their players are coming from San Jose. So I remain optimistic that we could see some semblance of baseball or soccer at some point this summer. And then you start looking into the fall with the University of Nevada.
That is
And
Nevada football get up and running.
that's the big question right now. Are we going to see college football? And I think there's more and more positive signs right now. In fact, the NCAA is allowing teams to start working out in June, football and basketball teams. Nevada right now is saying they want people on campus in July. So if that's the case, and we don't see this, I guess, feared second spike that people are talking about, if we can continue to be where we're at, Reno has not been super impacted like a lot of other places in the country. We're a much smaller population. Obviously, we have a lot more space, so I think that's helped. And I think the community has really done a great job at staying home and social distancing and taking this seriously. And I think that has been a direct result of us not being hit as hard as some other areas. So I'm optimistic that we could see a college football season. Will it be played in front of 20,000 fans or big stadiums in the SEC in front of 60,000 fans? I have a hard time seeing that happen right now, but the optimist in me would like to believe that, yeah, I think we're going to have something. We're going to have something here soon. And it seems like Major League Baseball is close to getting something done. It seems like the NHL, they're talking about doing this playoff. I think the first sporting events that you might see in our area will be the American Century Championship. That's the celebrity golf tournament up in Lake Tahoe, in South Lake Tahoe. There are discussions right now of that being played as a TV event. So in terms of a pure sporting event, that may actually happen. Maybe people can roll up on their boats and stay in their boats and watch from there. I don't think spectators will be allowed in, but I think that is the first possibility of a sporting event that has not been ruled out. And I know NBC is talking about it with their sponsor, American Century, and South Lake Tahoe, to try and see what the viability is of playing that tournament with no fans.
The experience for you covering sports versus creating content. I think that's kind of where we all are at right now, especially a couple of months into this. Like, we're used to at least falling back on the events that need to be covered, but now there are no events. So you find yourself in a spot where you're creating content. And for NSN, you guys rely heavily on the games being played. What's it been like for you having to go from covering sports to essentially creating content for the network?
I think the nice thing about NSN, and I think technology like this, Zoom, has been huge. And we've been able to do our entire NSN Daily hour-long show on Zoom because there's so many great people to talk to. There's so many great former players, former coaches, current players, current coaches, businesses that we can feature. And that's what we're doing right now. So in terms of that, it really hasn't been too much of a struggle to continue our show because there's so many great people to talk to, and there is enough. But you're right. I mean, we're definitely getting creative in creating content. I'm starting to do more stuff when it comes to coverage of food. I'm doing a Takeout Tuesday where I'm reviewing a different restaurant every week. You can find that on our website,
I'm checking that out
nevadasportsnet.com.
for
I've
sure.
got my outdoor segment every Thursday, exploring our backyard, giving people tips on different hikes and places they can go check out. And then even the last couple of weeks, this one was really off the wall. We actually held a 16-person beer pong tournament live on Facebook, and we brought in Conrad Schmidt, former Aces catcher, my color man in the Aces TV games. We had Nick Vizikis, who's a Hall of Fame basketball player at Nevada. We had Jake Dalton, an Olympian from the Summer Olympic Games as a gymnast, David Wise, a two-time gold medal winning skier. So we brought together all of these great athletes and celebrities from Northern Nevada and had them play beer pong on Zoom. And it did kind of give us competition again. It gave us something to break down, talking about a guy going on a rally, or, man, the ice water in the veins of this guy coming back. And for a minute, it felt like we were actually watching sports again. And, the feedback from all the athletes and celebrities that played in it, they loved it. It may be something we do again. We're talking about maybe doing it again next year, whether it's in person or if it's a virtual thing again. But, it's been fun. What's that?
Can I sign up?
We'll get you in next year, man.
Yes.
How are you?
Come on.
How's the game? You good?
It's fantastic.
Really?
Like, I mean, I haven't played in a while, but it's like riding a bike. Every time I play,
we'll have to play on Zoom. It's great.
Okay.
It's a little deal. You can set up your cups at your house. I set up my cups at my house. Bam.
Done
Play
and
a little
done.
virtual beer pong.
Done and done. I got to put my dogs in one room and my cats in another room. They'll definitely come and screw
They'll just ruin the balls. Yeah, it'll be over.
Dude, can you picture what it's going to be like when the Aces play again? Like what the opening day will look like when, presuming fans can come in and it can be somewhat normal. Can you imagine what that's going to feel like? And what's that going to mean for the region when it happens?
It kind of gives me you kind of gave me the chills just thinking about it. Like the day that they say, like, all right, we can go back as a crowd and sell as many tickets as possible. I mean, if Greater Nevada Field isn't sold out, I'll be incredibly disappointed. I mean, I don't want to see a single seat open in that place. Once we get to that point where we can pack stadiums in again, I just think it's something we took for granted. Being there night in and night out, and I just can't wait to be in a ballpark that has a buzz and just that kind of subtle kind of. It's not even like the yelling, even. You know what I'm talking about, Zach? Like when you're in a crowded stadium, even just like the murmur of people talking, it's almost like a buzz of bees everywhere. And there's just this sensation of like sitting up in the booth and listening to that, listening to the guys hawking for peanuts and the crack of the bat and the yell from the umpire and the pop of the glove and the home runs. And I mean, it's just, there's such like a romanticism around it. And so, yeah, I mean, I'm excited for that day. And if it's not this year and let's say it's opening day next year and we're given the all clear, like, hey, we can pack this place in. Like I said, I want to see Greater Nevada Field absolutely juiced, man. I can't wait.
I'm going to say something that you might be able to relate to here. I would be excited. I'm going out on a limb, by the way. I'd be excited to call a game in Visalia right now.
Yeah. I mean, you take it, right? I mean, look, dude, I was calling beer pong in my garage. Like that was my outlet. Like I was actually kind of like calling play-by-play of beer pong. And it did bring me back a little bit, gave me a little bit of my own, kind of filling my own void. But, yeah, you bring up Visalia. Basically, it's a broadcast scenario where oftentimes it's about 112 degrees. You're sitting outside under a tent, and there might be like 50 people in the stands. And oftentimes, my favorite thing about Visalia is when a fan would walk up to the radio broadcast. It was very obvious that I was calling play-by-play of a baseball game. Yet, in the middle of me calling a game, I would be asked where the bathroom is. I'm like, why are you asking me where the bathroom is? One, I don't work here. Two, it's pretty obvious I'm calling a game. Like,
well,
no, sorry, I don't know where the toilet is, dude.
Most of those people are pretty well lubricated, especially on a Thursday that ballpark. Before we transition, it's a good segue, by the way, into Bajenaru. We're going to talk to Jeff and Alysa Bajenaru in the next segment. He was pitching coach in Visalia while I was in Stockton. Wanted to congratulate you on your appearance in the BLC video. I see the hat that's behind you. Can you put the hat on and give us a reenactment of that epic nod that you had in the video?
Just a little.
There it is. There it is. And when I saw the video for the
You're
first
like,
time,
yes.
they could not have gotten a better dude to wear that hat and be nodding than than Alex Margulies, a pride of Northern Nevada, pride of Tahoe.
It's good
right
stuff.
there.
I like the hat, man. I love the using the arch,
Yes.
the fonts from the
Mhm.
Reno arch. I think it's great. It is that local flavor. I was really excited when they decided to roll this out. Honestly, I think I would love to see like multiple iterations of this.
It
Like
might be.
I'd love to see like BLC like on a black hat, on a navy hat. And I think they've talked about maybe in the future doing that. But this has been a really cool thing to kind of connect with the fans here, and that was unfortunately we haven't seen it on the field yet. But yeah, it's been a cool addition, definitely.
Well, you're an influencer in the area. You can just reach out to Eric and Emily, and we'll make
It's
it
like,
happen.
hey man, let's get some new hats going.
Uh,
I'll do what I can.
do what you can, please. I know I want to see it happen. I want to see it happen. I want to see the power of Margulies in full force in Reno with making things happen. And I can't wait to get up there with you, man. We're going to come back to you to close it out. But first, we're going to take a break. We're going to hear from Jeff and Alysa Bajenaru next, and we'll be back with Alex to close it out on the Aces Loaded podcast. Stick around. The Reno Aces. Just a baseball team, some may say. But we are more than that. We are the waters of the Truckee, flowing, pumping through the heart of our city. We stand atop the mountains that circle this meadow, hiking, climbing, reaching higher and higher. Just look up. Under blue Nevada skies, we breathe the crisp Washoe wind. In the valley, our trees tremble. Falling leaves mark the season's end. We are students on the hill, dedicated teachers, first responders, leaders. We work, we love, we pray. In this neon Babylon, we build our little city. We think big, we make art. We are colorful and diverse, like Nevada sunsets in July. We are concerts in the park, springtime sounds of little leaguers and bluebirds. In the summer, a classic rumbles under the arch. Our community is small, but our vision, pride, and ambition is big. We are the biggest little city. We are your hometown team. We are the Reno Aces. We are back on the Aces Loaded podcast. Great to have you with us, and great to have with us Jeff and Alysa Bajenaru. Jeff, of course, the Aces pitching coach, and Alysa, his wife, COO of Our Baseball Life, a resource guide for professional baseball families. You can also find Alysa on her personal site, inspiredrd.com. How are you guys doing today?
Good.
Yeah, as good as we can be right now. Yeah.
And you guys are in Texas, right?
Yeah, we're in Arlington, right outside between Dallas and Fort Worth. So, yep.
How's everything in that area right now as it pertains to COVID, and what's the trajectory of everything there right now?
Everything's kind of opening back up. I mean, Texas is really pushing to just, move on, I think. So some people are, venturing out more than others, but things are starting to move a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm going to start with Alysa, because this kind of rings home for me and my wife. But how are you processing this time? Like, I know for my wife, it's been kind of a pleasant surprise to have me at home and present, which this time usually my attention's divided, as I'm sure it is for Jeff. But I know she also has to balance having a husband who's got a bit of a void in his life right now. So what's this like for you?
We've talked a lot the last couple of years about how hard this stage of life is for us, with him traveling so much and our kids being, entering their tween and teen years. It's just kind of that time where it's harder to be apart, and when they're in school, we're apart a lot more than we used to be. And so it's been really awesome for the kids and me to have him around and just have this time together that we normally wouldn't. But yeah, he's been, oh my gosh, you should see our garage. It's like the cleanest it's ever been. We've lost a few trees because he's been cutting those down and just staying busy. But
yeah, Jeff, I was going to ask, like, what's this time like for you? I know for me, it's a bit surreal, but what's it like for you? You're a baseball lifer too.
Yeah, this is hard, man. I mean, it's I don't know. You can't explain it. Everyone's going through it in different ways. But as a coach, it's hard to not be around your guys and be around the competition. And see growth in players, and you always come into spring going, man, who's the guy this year that's going to make it? You always, and you can never predict it. And so that's like the beauty of, especially AAA. You just don't know. So I miss the guys. I miss the competition and all that. But, definitely it's been great with the kids and all that. But like you said, you got that void where it's just, you're missing it, man. It doesn't matter what you do. We're meant to work. And luckily my work is a lot of play too. So it's hard.
This could pertain to both of you, but is there kind of a rhythm to the season that maybe you're reflecting back on now and you took for granted all those years, where from, whatever it is, February, March through September and into October, your life is run by baseball, and there's a rhythm to that I think a lot of us who work in the game and are around the game take a lot of comfort in. Do you guys kind of feel that a little bit too?
Yeah, there's a definite mindset shift that happens, at different times of the year, for the off season, for the preparing for the season, during the season. So it is kind of, it took a little while, and now I feel like we're kind of in that weird, like, we're kind of used to this now, but it's not the way it's supposed to be. So
no, I mean, yeah, and it would have been one thing if this happened in the middle of the season or something, like where we had played 70, 80 games or whatever. But it was like you coming out of the off season, you go to spring training for, I think we were getting to the end of spring training, honestly. I was there a month, and you're just still in the off season, it feels like, for this side of it at least. But yeah, it's no good.
Yeah, it's really bizarre. Jeff, we had Barry Enright on a couple of weeks ago, so he gave us some insight into this from his perspective. But have you been able to work with players remotely at all, and how much have you been able to be in contact with them?
I mean, it's basically just phone calls and texts and stuff like that. It's very impersonal, but it's all we can really do right now. I mean, I'm actually gonna go see Riley Smith throw to the bullpen today. He's actually driving up. It's like a 3-hour drive. I think he's meeting family or something, whatever. So that'll be kind of cool. I'm actually excited about it. So I'm gonna take my son, watch a little bullpen, and he's been working hard. So he's like ready to go. You can go 7 innings right now, I think.
I was going to say, for you, is this going to be like the best bullpen you ever watched? Like, have you ever been more excited to watch a bullpen?
I will be locked in. But yeah, I'm excited for that. But
as a pitcher, mechanically, how much do you think you're set back by not having that intimate interaction with instructors for as long as this has been, which for some guys it's been a while? I mean, you can throw and you can work out, but there has to be something you're losing in terms of the interaction you have with your coaches and your instructors and your rovers, right?
Yeah, I think so. But at the same time, a lot of these guys are doing such a good job, and there's so much good information out there, and may not always, they might be tinkering, is what I'm saying, a little bit now, and sometimes that's a good thing, messing with things and trying things, and no one's there to watch me, so I can mess with this. So
is it a good thing?
It can be. It can not be as well if what you're trying sucks. But I mean, but that's the kind of guy I was. I was a little more resistant as a player. I was stubborn a little bit. I was going to do it my way, and I was going to make it my way. So I always have that understanding with my players that some of the things I do is more of a suggestion, and then there's times where, no, we're going to do this. So I like when guys experiment and mess around at times, as long as it's not too far off the track.
I can kind of jive with what you're saying. I remember in 2011, Dan Straley came through Stockton, and we became close. And I would, on those hot days in Bakersfield and Visalia, like I'd go to the outfield and shag BP with those guys, and Dan and I would talk. And throughout the course of the season, every time he'd be in the outfield shagging, he would throw the ball back. And every time he would, he'd work on a new grip for his slider. He'd try different things. And it went on to be a pretty special season for him. He kind of put himself on the map that year. And to me, it was no coincidence. Like, he was always tinkering. He was always trying to figure out what was going to give him that edge. So maybe it's something like that, maybe that's what you're talking about.
It can be. I mean, it happens every year in the off season. We're not around them for 4 or 5 months or whatever it is. So they're doing their own thing with their own people. And, we have an idea what's going on, but, you don't see them for that long. Who knows? But yeah, we've been checking in a lot and kind of monitoring where guys are at throwing wise. And some guys are throwing like 4 or 5 innings simulated, and some guys are just throwing bullpen once a week. You know,
Mhm.
it's what they can do.
Jeff, I'm going to start with you with this question. Then I'm going to pivot to Alysa with something similar. But I saw you, Jeff, as a pitching coach in Visalia. We talked about it for a couple of years. How different is the dynamic for a pitching coach going from high A to triple A? Elements notwithstanding, and you have similar elements in the Cal League and in the PCL. But just talking about the players, how fundamentally different is it to coach guys at those two vastly different levels?
Yeah, it's a big change and a big adjustment. High A is like a make or break type of year. It's like if you get on, you got a big time chance, and you're really close. And if not, I don't know, it might be your time is up. So it's a fun level where guys are going to do whatever it takes to move on. They're going to listen to everything you have to say and just try whatever. So it's a fun stage. And at AAA guys, most of the guys have been in the big leagues, obviously. And so they're used to doing it their way. They're used to they've all had 10 to 15 pitching coaches by that point. So the trust factor is a lot bigger. Whereas in high A, those are typically your guys still that you brought up. AAA are all free agents, and you might have a few guys that you've had for a while, but you really have to build that trust with guys. And, that's what I learned last year. They're not just going to listen to you. They're going to do it their way. They don't really care what you have to say a lot of times if you don't really show that care factor for them. So
how that being said, how do you connect with those guys that have been free agents and journeymen, and you're still wanting to coach them, and you're still wanting to show them different ways or potentially different ways of doing what they've been doing for years, but how do you connect and reach them in AAA?
I mean, as cliche as it sounds, you really do have to get to know them. You have to ask personal questions. You got to get to know about their family, their wives, their kids, stuff like that. But you also have to know your stuff. I don't think anyone's going to buy into what you have to say if you can't back up what we're teaching as an organization or where the game is at. And I think, that's a game changer. If it's just the way it is right now,
Mm-hmm.
I definitely don't know everything, but I feel like I'm at least knowledgeable enough to help these guys, with pitch design and all that stuff that's going on in the game. So, I mean, that's the trust is built right there a lot of times.
Alysa, I said I'm going to pivot to you, but before I ask you the question, I want you to kind of give us some background on what you do for Our Baseball Life. You're the COO. Can you tell us what that's all about?
Yeah, so Our Baseball Life, it's a resource guide for families in professional baseball. Basically, it was started by Lori Ankiel in 2010 as just a full-on resource guide for you get traded. Her husband, Rick, got traded, and she was stuck in a city with 2 giant dogs and all of their stuff, and she didn't know, how to make that transition. And so she started Our Baseball Life. And a few years later, I was in rookie ball with him, and just had a heart for women in the game that might be feeling alone, because in rookie ball, there's not a lot of other wives around because the guys are so young. So I started a community for the women in baseball, just to be able to connect with each other. And so Lori and I merged together a couple of years ago with Paige Murphy, whose husband is also a coach, and the 3 of us just kind of serve the players and the families in baseball, however we can.
And it's a really great website. It's ourbaseballlife.com, and you should check it out. And we're gonna plug your Twitter handle too at the end. So that being said, you're definitely in the support group for the people on the periphery and wives and families. What have you noticed the needs are with AAA players as opposed to, as I was talking to Jeff, the high A players? From your angle, what's the need for the guys in AAA that you found?
Yeah, I mean, AAA, like he said, they've kind of been around, so they know what's going on. They're the women in AAA are a lot more independent and kind of able to handle whatever is thrown at them, because they're moving all the time. I mean, up and down and up and down and up and down. And so they just have to, become really adaptable and then also lean on each other. And it's a really great community. The women really help each other, and they make sure, especially in Reno last year, I mean, there was a group of women that they always made sure that nobody was left out. Everybody was involved, and, you know, everybody had what they need. So
I interact with a lot of these families and a lot of the wives, you know, throughout the course of my travels. Uh, what have you found in terms of like what have you learned by doing this that maybe has surprised you over the years?
about life in baseball.
Yeah, with what families go through. I think that's something a lot of people don't think about unless you see it every day. But what has surprised you by getting more involved in this?
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the reasons that when I started, what I did with our Instagram account was, it was called Wags in Real Life at the time, before we merged with our baseball life. And it was just a way to show what real life is like, because people don't see that side of it. And the women in the game were really anxious to be able to share that side of it. And so just, you know, the traveling and the moving, and, you know, when he was playing, he gets called up and I'm sitting there with a full apartment, not sure what to do and how to pack it up, and where am I even going, and how am I going to fit this all in the car. And I mean, when he was called up to the big leagues for the first time, I had to I had to pack up our apartment and drive through a hurricane just to get out of town. So
Did you drive through a hurricane?
oh yeah,
She really did.
a real hurricane, like tornado sirens going off, everything, and I'm just throwing everything in black trash bags because we had a truck, and just trying to get out of there.
Where were you headed to from and to?
That was in Charlotte.
She was driving to Chicago.
Well, he was in Chicago. I was just trying to get back to my parents' house in Missouri. But yeah, I was just trying to get out of there because the hurricane was coming in.
And Jeff, was this for your major league debut?
Yeah. I was in Richmond, Virginia, and she was still back in Charlotte, and we'd only been called up to AAA for a month. You know, I got like August 5th or something like that, and yeah, so I was like, I don't know, figure it out. Good luck.
Yeah.
I'm, you know, on cloud nine, and
He's at the Ritz, and I'm like,
there's
you
not
know,
the Ritz.
it was the Ritz, and
Not the
I'm
Ritz.
driving.
It was close to the Ritz, right? Like
Might have been, I don't know.
it's close. It's close. You're not staying at the Lamplighter Inn,
Right.
yeah, the Quality Inn in Tulare,
Lamplighter.
right?
Yeah. So, you know, just that kind of stuff, and then just trying to figure out how to work, first of all, and how to kind of find your purpose if you're not. So some wives will stay home and they have a career, and, you know, they go that route, and a lot of wives want to travel and be able to be with their husband more, and so kind of have to get creative. So that's what I've had to do. I was a clinical dietitian in a hospital, and then that was when he had Tommy John surgery, and then we went to Birmingham for AA, and so I quit my job to be with him because we were newlyweds, and I sold beer at the stadium, and I made more money than he did, and more money than I did as a clinical dietitian. So
We would literally pay our rent in her $1 bill tips from like Thirsty Thursday, you know?
yeah.
Like
I was gonna say, how did it feel to have a
$600 or
sugar
whatever it was.
mama?
What?
How did it feel to have a sugar mama?
Yeah, that's what we always joked. I'm like, this is great. I wish it was Thursday, Friday every night.
So I've always just had to be really creative with work, and that's something that we try to help our community with, is just to think through what kind of jobs girls can do, and stay flexible.
I think you made a great point as it pertains to finding your purpose, because I think from the outside, a lot of people look at what wives go through and they say, well, they could just, you know, hitch a wagon and go wherever their husbands go, and, you know, be at the ballpark and so on. But I think with what you're saying, it's ringing true to me that everybody kind of needs that deeper purpose for themselves. And then you have your life outside of that. But that's a fascinating point that you make, Alysa.
Yeah, I mean, you can't define your life, just like they shouldn't define their life by baseball.
Mm-hmm.
We shouldn't define our life by baseball. I mean, you have to find your own passion and your own purpose, and your own calling, whether that means you travel or not. You just have to find out, you know, what works for you, and what your purpose is.
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, we started out doing this, and I was in Arizona for the first 3 years, and we were just living at home, and I was doing the Arizona League, and it was great. My kids were little. And then we said, we're not going to do this unless we travel together all the time. Well, our kids were small, so she started homeschooling for a couple of years. You know, we're like, we'll just do this, and we always travel together, and however hard it is financially, we're just going to figure it out. We're going to stay together. And that was awesome. But you can't you can't be so inflexible that things change. Our kids are getting a little older. You know, they're gonna miss out on a ton of stuff if they're not home majority of the summer. So we've adapted to that, and that's okay too. You know, from what we originally said, and that's part of it. You know.
Yeah, you have to be flexible.
I mean, I hate missing my kids and stuff like that, but we're gonna come out and visit more and spend a little more money and figure out how to see each other in the summer. But you know, we'll deal with that.
Totally get it. Alysa, this is obviously a tough time financially right now for organizations and for players. And I know, you know, earlier this week you had organizations that announced they'd be furloughing some minor league players by the end of the month. I'd imagine teams are going to be following suit the longer we go in this. But Our Baseball Life partnering with MTB.org, which is more than baseball, to assist players and their families. Can you tell us about that initiative and how can people get involved if they'd like to?
Yeah, so we partnered with them pretty quickly after everything was suspended because there were just so many players and families up in the air, not sure what to do, and already starting to miss rent payments and all that kind of stuff. So we partnered with them since they are a nonprofit that serves baseball families and created the MILB Family Fund. And we've had a couple of really generous donations. Adam Wainwright and Daniel Murphy got us kicked off with some big donations, and then we've had a lot more coming in. Basically, we're just trying to raise as much money as possible by the end of this month because applications are open for minor league families to apply for these grants, and they're going to start going out the first week of June. So people can donate. We do have someone matching donations right now. We're almost to that cap, but some of the next few donations that come in will be doubled. We're also selling these Safe at Home shirts, and those you can order those through the end of this week, and proceeds from that will go to the fund as well.
And where can people get those shirts?
Everything is at ourbaseballlife.com.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
Before I let you guys go, I one more for you, Jeff. Who are you most excited to see this year in Reno on the pitching side of things? Like, is there a player that intrigued you coming into the season that you thought might be able to take a few big strides?
I mean, you never know who's going to make the team out of spring, but I mean, I've had a couple guys that I've been with for quite a while, which is Riley Smith and John Duplantier. So, I've have a history with them. I'm rooting for them. John made his debut last year, which was awesome. And, I was hoping the same for Riley this year, possibly. He's just a grinder that works, not a guy that stands out type of guy, but just a steady Eddie. He's gonna give you 6 innings every time. And I like the kid a lot. So rooting for them and excited to see what they're gonna do this year, but it's not happening right now.
No.
Hopefully soon.
Hopefully soon. Guys, thank you so much for coming on. You can find both Jeff and Alysa on Twitter. You guys want to give your Twitter handles real quick?
Mine's just Alysa, Alysa.
Yeah, I'm good.
Well, if you want, especially for Alysa, if you want more information on Our Baseball Life and how to get involved in supporting baseball families, you can find her on Twitter, and all the links are there. Thank you guys for all you do. I'm excited to actually see you in person when we can. And stay safe, and we'll chat again soon, all right?
All right, thank you.
You got it. Jeff and Alysa Bajenaru, we're back to wrap up the Aces Loaded podcast after this. We are back to close out the Aces Loaded podcast, this week's edition, which featured Jeff and Alysa Bajenaru. Thanks so much to them and for all the work that they do. My man Alex Margulies is back to close it out with us. Thanks for being on, man. I appreciate it. It was great seeing your face, catching up, and we're not playing right now together in Reno, but this was nice. Like it gave me something to remember on and something to look forward to, if that makes sense. Like it was nice going back into the old memory bank of your Modesto days and to be able to hopefully relive those in person in hopefully a few months would be nice.
Yeah, there's no doubt, man. I'm jealous of your beard growth. Like I'm contemplating, like, do I like bring the beard back? Cause I usually do one like in November. Although I will say, like, the heat right now with his hair, it's starting to get a little, like, when I go work out, like it definitely adds, like, if I feel like I'm sweating like twice as much, it's just like this heat rag like on the top of my head.
So are the gyms open up there, by the way?
They are opening on Friday.
Okay, they're still not open here. So thankfully we have a Peloton in the house, and like,
oh, good.
And I sweat. Like when I work out, I sweat. So after I get done with a bike ride, you should see this thing. Like it's just
the beard's just dripping.
Oof. Dripping. It's a little bit disturbing, but when else am I going to have this flow? So
exactly, man.
I would encourage it. If there's ever a time for you to try it out,
just get gnarly with it.
Yeah.
Hey, man. Yeah, it was great talking to you too, man. I'm like I said before, I'm super stoked that you're going to be in Reno and looking forward to, as you said, kind of reminiscing about some of our past experiences, all the fun that we had. And I know while it's tough right now and we'd all love to be here in Reno together, watching the Aces play at Greater Nevada Field, I think we all just kind of have to know that, great days are ahead. We're going to get back to some semblance of normal. We're going to get it back out to the ballpark, and there's going to be a lot of great memories and experiences that lie for us in the future. And I definitely can't wait to see where that takes us.
Amen. I couldn't have said it better myself. If people want to still follow along what you're doing and follow what NSN is, I don't want to say covering, but what they're creating, I guess at this point, how can people do that?
Yeah, you can check out our website, nevadasportsnet.com. You can follow me on Twitter at Margulies PXP, play-by-play. If you can figure out how to spell that, good luck. And then, of course, those of you in the area.
Margulies.
Good man. You've had some
I
was going to say, it's like on the thing,
yeah. I wanted to impress.
And then you can watch our show 4, 7, and 10 o'clock Monday through Friday, DirecTV, Dish, Charter, whatever you got. We've got our station on there. So check it out and stay tuned. We'll have some more good content coming up. We'll have some more food segments, more outdoor stuff, and continue to do our best to entertain you as we kind of trudge along through this thing.
Well, hopefully in the near future, I can maybe be a part of one of those segments for you and we could do something creatively in Reno in person. But until then, I appreciate you being here, brother. Stay safe up there and we'll catch you soon. All right.
Sounds good, man. Thanks, Zach.
Thanks to Alex Margulies. Thanks to the Bajenaros, Jeff and Alysa. Our producer of the Aces Loaded podcast is Vince Ruffino. My name is Zack Bayrouty. Thanks so much for listening. We'll see you next week back here on Aces Loaded.